going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. This is Life Outdoors, and today we are doing a 40,000 mile review on my 2021 Jeep Gladiator Eco Diesel that I have behind me. As you guys know, I've been keeping up with the review videos every 10,000 miles, and so far they have been very positive. Good reviews all around. However, I do have some questionable things that have happened in this last 10,000 miles that I want to update you guys on. So make sure you stay tuned, listen to the video, and then leave a comment if you guys have run into any of these issues with your Gladiators as well. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and start off with the positives. First off, these Toyo Open Country MTs, let's talk about those for a second. I have probably around 25,000 miles on these tires, and there is still a ton of life left in them. Super impressed with the wear on those. I've been running them at around 30 PSI for the entire time that I've had them, and it's been great so far. Not needing to worry about new tires for a little while. Very happy with those. Of course, with the Toyos, we have the Anthem wheels, which are looking good as always. No complaints with those. Easy to clean, and they haven't scratched up at all. Can't complain there. Let's talk about fuel mileage a little bit. On the Gladiator, I've been sitting at around 20 to 25 miles per gallon, which has been very awesome. My driving consists typically of Highway 101, which is around 45 to 60 miles an hour. And I do pretty long drives at those speeds. So really, it's like the ideal scenario for maxing out fuel mileage. And we're sitting pretty well around that 20 to 25 mark. With that being said, I have seen an improvement in the DEF fluid system. It's becoming less frequent that I have to change it. I don't know if driving at those speeds is ideal for the DEF fluid, but it doesn't seem to be drinking quite as fast as it was when I was in Colorado. That could also have to do with temperature. It got really cold and then really hot there. Here, it's pretty much just a mild 40 to 70 the entire year. So it really never gets too cold or too warm. Combine that with the driving that I'm doing, I think it's just kind of leveled out, and now it's getting a little more consistent, getting more to that 5,000 to 8,000 miles between fill-ups on the DEF tank, which is awesome. As always, the KCs are shining bright. Been loving those. Got to really test them out in the Metolius region when I went fishing with Murphy for the Oregon Send. If you guys want to check out those videos, put a little link up there for you. Now, if we look to the back end here, we have the new additions to the Gladiator since my last review. We've got the rooftop tent, Top B rooftop tent off of Amazon, and we have the TKM Auto bed rack. So we'll start off with the tent. It's got a built-in mattress that's been surprisingly comfortable. I'm very, very happy with the mattress that came with the unit. The water seal has been excellent. We've had lots of P&W rain, of course, and no water's leaked in during storage time. I don't have a garage, so the vehicle sits out in the rain all day, unfortunately, but luckily, no water has seeped into that tent. It's been really comfortable to sleep in, really enjoying that, and for around $1,000, I don't think there's a much better deal that you can get for a hard shell clam style rooftop tent. My only two complaints with the rooftop tent, first off, is the gasket seal around the actual tent. There's one pinch point that's a little bit concerning, but I've been able to essentially just take note of it, and every time I close the tent, I just have to kind of pull that away from the shock that boosts the tent up when you open it. So not too big a deal there. I just have to keep an eye on it and make sure I don't wear it out so that the tent stays nice and waterproof. The second issue is a little more annoying, and it's a squeak that I've been trying to track down. I thought at first that the squeak was from the bed rack, but after doing some more investigating and tightening down all the bolts in the bed rack, it seems like between the bed rack and where the tent's mounted down, there's something squeaking there, and I need to figure it out because it kind of drives me crazy. I'll give you guys an example, so just listen close. Yeah, so not ideal getting that loud squeaking noise, but it is what it is, and I'm gonna track it down and get it figured out. Let's move on to the bed rack. Bed rack is super sturdy. That was only $500 for that bed rack. It's got a good powder coat finish. It's nice and heavy, and it's mounted pretty sturdy to the vehicle. So really no complaints in the build or the quality of it. The only issue I'm having is I wish I would have ended up going with the full height bed rack instead of the half height. And that's just for a few reasons. With this half height bed rack, there is a good bit of overhang from the rooftop tent where it extends past the bed rack. And I don't love that because I have to really bend over to get into the bed of the vehicle, and you got to worry about hitting your head and all that, and just ends up being more of an issue than I thought it was going to be. The other problem is obviously when you're trying to get to the back of the bed, it's just more difficult because there's not much room for you to get back in there. So I really want to transition from a half height to a full height bed rack. And then I think I'll be set with this setup because everything else has been working great for me. And I feel really comfortable sleeping in this rooftop tent. It's just that extra level of security, being above ground, not having to, you know, worry about locking stuff up because you got that little bit of extra height when you're out in the wilderness, which is super comforting. And now we're gonna move to some of the stuff that is a little more worrisome. We'll start with the biggest one. I actually bent my Pitman arm a few weeks, about a month ago maybe. So I had the vehicle turning right, both the wheels were opened up, and I hit an object with just my right wheel, and it must have just been the perfect amount of torque. It was at very low speeds, but there was a loud creak from under the vehicle. The steering wheel went to 180 degrees off, and the Pitman arm was completely bent out of shape. Luckily, I took it to a local shop that gave it a look over. They pulled all the steering assembly apart. Turns out the only thing that ended up being broken was the Pitman arm, luckily for me. So I don't know if that was just a bad Pitman arm and it was due to fail, but a little bit scary because I thought that was going to be a massive repair. The other issues that I've had, we've had a couple of recalls now, and you know, those aren't that big a deal. It's just more of an inconvenience. And every time a new one pops up, you get a little more concerned, and you know, you're like, what's going to be next? So the two that have happened so far, we've had a rear axle assembly where the entire rear axle assembly had to be redone. No big deal. It only took them about 4 hours in the shop. And then the other issue that I'm still waiting on a wait list for is the fuel pump, which they say can actually be a dangerous one because if it cracks or breaks, then you're spilling fuel everywhere. And they have almost no parts available for that one. So it's a super long wait list. I have no idea when I'm going to be able to get to it, but kind of a bummer there because I'd rather be able to be confident in my fuel pump than, you know, drive out in the middle of nowhere and that's when it decides to break. The other issue is the rear light on the tailgate, and I've seen this issue pop up in other forums. It's dead. I don't know why it died so quickly, but it's like a $260 fix, which is just absurd for a light. So I either need to find a way to replace that myself, or I'm thinking of just putting on a hitch light for my third brake light and just forgetting about the tailgate light because that's $260 that does not need to be spent. All right, moving on to other issues that I've had with the vehicle. The air conditioning the other day just completely went out. I was getting heat, I was getting regular air, but I was getting no cool air, and brought it into the dealership. Luckily for me, I have the Supreme warranty, which covers everything for 100,000 miles or 7 years. Brought it in and ended up that the system had unplugged itself. So they went back in, they replugged it. I had to pay a diagnostic fee, of course, you know, they always got to find something to charge you with, but a little worrisome that that just unplugged itself, kind of odd. The other problem that I'm having beyond the air conditioning was the wiring for my air compressor. I'm still having issues with it. It keeps blowing the fuse for the cigarette plug, so I'm gonna have to undo the wiring connecting the switch to the cigarette plug and wire that directly to the fuse box so that it's running its own fuse. I don't know, it must just draw too much power with everything that's connected to it, but it is not gonna work in its current setup. So that's something that I need to figure out the next sunny day that we have out here. And then I did also have one more warranty claim that was covered actually just this past weekend. The rear axle seal went bad, started leaking. So that is something that they went in, replaced, completely covered by my warranty, didn't have to pay anything for that one. But just a little concerning that even after they did the rear axle assembly, the seal then blew only a few thousand miles later. So I don't know if they didn't do it right the first time or what, but something that I will be keeping my eye on for sure now. I do also have a slight leak in the transfer case, which I brought up with them. They said it's not actively leaking, so they're not going to do anything to it now, but believe me, before 100,000 miles hits, I will have them tearing apart that transfer case, cleaning it up, resealing it, and making sure that it's good to go post-warranty, because that is not something that I want to be paying for. All in all though, she's still my baby. I still love this truck. And even though we've had some issues in the last 10,000 miles, I'm not too concerned about it. I have that warranty, like I said, till 100K or 7 years. So you best believe if stuff's gonna break, I want it to break while I'm still in the warranty period. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have any questions about the build, if you're seeing any issues in your Gladiators, drop them in the comments. I wanna know, because we can all help each other be better prepared for what's to come with these vehicles. And hopefully we all get plenty of miles out of them and a ton of fun. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.